Thank you.
All rise for the jury.
Please be seated, everyone. Attorney Raymond.
The state will now call Sabrina Sims to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Detective, good morning. If you're willing and able to and can responsibly and safely testify without a mask, we would ask that you do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, counsel.
Good morning. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last names?
Yes, it's Sabrina Sims, Sabrina Sims.
How are you employed?
I am a detective with the Dane County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed in that capacity?
I've been a detective for 14 years.
And are you one of the 2 case detectives assigned to this case?
Yes, I am.
I just want to talk to you very briefly about how you go about investigating a missing persons case. What are sort of just generally the steps that you go through as a detective?
Sure. So usually initially those are reported to deputies who we've already heard from. Based on the information they receive, we do follow-up interviews. Sometimes that leads us to
Information to your investigation.
It's very important. The information we get early on leads us in certain directions sometimes, and other times it leads us in wrong directions. Usually in missing person cases, obviously, the first couple of days, the first hours that we find out information is very vital in where our investigation goes. Sometimes time is of the essence when we're locating people, children and adults alike.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to show you exhibits 40 through 43. Could you please identify exhibit 40?
Exhibit 40 is a USB drive, which includes media interviews.
And who is giving said media interviews?
Chandler Halderson.
And did you collect these from the various news stations in the course of your investigation?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And exhibits 41 through 43, how would you describe those?
Exhibit 41 is a transcript of a media interview that Chandler Halderson did with Channel 3000. Exhibit 42 is a transcript of a media interview with NBC 15 conducted by Chandler Halderson. And 43 is a transcript of a media interview with WKOW and Chandler Halderson.
And what date were these interviews given?
July 8th, 2021.
Okay. At this time, I would move exhibit 40 into evidence and would ask to publish.
Any objection to its receipt?
Can we approach for a bit, actually?
Sure.
Thank you.
Great.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd request that you'd read the stipulation regarding the media interviews.
Very good. I shall. At certain times during trials, it may come to pass that the parties reach agreements about facts. And this is done for a host of reasons and is always appreciated because it means we don't have to introduce those facts through witnesses and testimony. In this instance, at this moment, the district attorney and the attorneys for Mr. Halderson have stipulated or agreed to the existence of certain facts, and you must accept these facts as conclusively proved. In this case, the district attorney and defendant's attorneys have stipulated to the following facts. The television news broadcasts presented as evidence in this case, including interviews from WISC TV Channel 3, WKOW Channel 27, and NBC Channel 15, are authentic recordings of the news broadcasts. The person identified as an off-camera speaker in these news broadcasts as Chandler Halderson is, in fact, the defendant Chandler Halderson. I also remind you, ladies and gentlemen, about the instruction that I gave yesterday before we first saw a recording. Recordings are proper evidence. These have been closed captioned for you, but again, the closed captioning is secondary. What you hear is the evidence, and I will remind you that if it appears anything has been redacted from these, those are redacted due to decisions made previously before trial. I'll also remind you that it is the statements that are heard on these videos from the defendant, and his identity has been stipulated as the speaker, that is the evidence that's being put forward to you here today.
Okay. First one we're going to play is Channel 3000.
Thanks for staying with us. Officials are still searching for this couple, Bart and Krista Halderson. Now, there are a lot of questions about the Dane County couple's disappearance that we are working to get some answers to, but tonight, police aren't saying much. That led us to the couple's son, who says he's just as confused as investigators. Adam Duxter spoke with that man today. He's here now with what he learned. Adam?
Well, Eric, Chandler Halderson lives with his parents in the village of Windsor and says another unknown couple picked them up early Friday morning before he was awake. And tonight we're left to wonder what happened to Bart and Krista Halderson. Brett Schuster says his usually quiet street is busier than ever since last night.
I pulled in. There was a couple of sheriffs out there. Then 2 hours later, there's 3 or 4 detectives there. As we saw the detectives enter the house, that's where we knew there's something going on inside Bart's house.
Shortly after, the Dane County Sheriff's Office shared this photo of Bart and Krista Halderson. Police say the couple had planned to go to their cabin in Langlade County. Their son, Chandler, asked not to be shown on camera, but he told us he didn't see his parents leave and added they didn't drive themselves.
They were picked up by their friends, who I never got the name of, and I assumed it was someone I was aware of, the close neighbors of theirs up the street, or their best friends down on the east side. So that's what I assumed. I never really asked any further.
Chandler says he assumed his parents had turned off their phones to avoid roaming charges. And it wasn't until after the holiday weekend ended that he got nervous.
Because this weekend it was packed. I get that. Packed. Maybe the weather wasn't great for messaging.
Tonight, Dane County Sheriff's Office says there are too many unanswered questions to say anything, while Langlade County Sheriff's Office wouldn't confirm they're helping in a search. Police instead spending today interviewing neighbors, like Brett Schuster himself.
The shocked. I mean, it's odd, though. Everything that seems, it's odd and shocking that, you never expect or anticipate seeing something that, especially that close to your house. I hope everything works out and it's just a misunderstanding with communication and comes pulling in the driveway any minute.
And Chandler Halderson says for his parents to leave, even with another person, does happen from time to time. But he tells me another family member went to that cabin to check out cell service and was able to get through.
Well, hopefully we'll get some answers soon. Adam Duxter reporting. Adam, thank you.
The second video of Exhibit 40 is NBC 15.
the search continues for this couple, Krista and Bart Halderson. They live near DeForest. They were reported missing yesterday. NBC 15's Elise Ramos joins us live from the Dane County Sheriff's Office Northeast Precinct. Elise, you spoke with their son and people in the Haldersons' neighborhood.
Yeah, John, the Halderson's son says that he helped his parents pack up the night before their trip to their cabin in Langlade County. He hasn't seen them since.
I was told they'd be home Monday or Tuesday, and Tuesday afternoon I got a little worried.
Chandler Halderson says his parents, Krista and Bart, were getting picked up by friends that Friday. They were planning to be at the cabin over the 4th of July weekend.
Apparently they did make it. I got a text on Sunday.
Halderson says after that text, he began getting worried when his calls to his mom went directly to voicemail.
That's when I got worried and I went to make a report.
Halderson says his aunt went to the cabin on Tuesday but did not find anyone there.
Shocked. It's odd. The whole thing is just odd.
Brett Schuster lives next door to the Haldersons.
You know, this is typically a quiet neighborhood. You usually never see anything like this or anticipate or expect to hear something like this.
One of Halderson's biggest concerns, who his parents were with when they left.
They went with their friends, but I didn't ask who their friends were, so I'm still not really sure.
While law enforcement searches for answers, the community is hoping for the Haldersons' safe return.
I hope everything works out and this, lost communication, they're up north and they pull in any minute. So thoughts and prayers to them and hope everything's fine.
I called the Langlade County Sheriff's Office today for information, and they told me that the Dane County Sheriff's Office is leading this investigation. I'm waiting to hear back from Dane County on whether or not deputies did a welfare check at that cabin in Langlade County. In DeForest, Elise Ramos, NBC 15 News.
And finally, a clip from WKOW.
Authorities are still searching for a Windsor couple who have not been seen in days. 50-year-old Bart Halderson and his wife, 53-year-old Krista, were supposed to travel north last week and return home on Tuesday.
But their son tells Tony Galley his parents' whereabouts are unknown.
Bart and Krista Halderson of Windsor had plans for the 4th.
Their plans were going up with their friends and do some minor repairs on our cabin.
That cabin is some 3 hours away from Windsor on a lake in a small community in Langlade County.
Did you literally see them pulling out of the driveway heading out?
No.
Their son, Chandler Halderson, who asked to be off camera, says whoever his parents were traveling with from this neighborhood were to do the driving. He says he received a text from his mother.
She got back to me on Sunday, said they made it safely.
That's the last he's heard from his parents. Neighbor Brett Schuster's reaction to the Haldersons' disappearance.
Wow. My wife is pretty shook up too. I mean, they're a very nice couple, very nice family.
Detectives now go door to door here.
While sheriff's personnel here in Dane County are checking for any and all information, the missing couple's son says law enforcement in Langlade County has checked on the family's cabin there. And he says that visit only adds to the mystery.
The sheriff said it looked like there wasn't anyone home.
Family and friends hope the Haldersons' unexpected extended time away is just that, and not a sign they're in trouble. In Windsor, Tony Galley, 27 News.
No further questions at this time.
Any cross-examination?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Detective, you can return back to the table. And the next witness, please.
State's going to call Mary Sesto.
Yes.
Can you go get Mary?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. If you feel that you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without your mask would be our preference if you would.
Okay, sure, I can do that.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
I do know that you work in healthcare though, so if you feel more comfortable, you are allowed to leave it.
Okay, no, I understand, thank you.
Okay.
It's up to you.
I appreciate it.
Good morning. Could you please state your first and last name for the record and spell both?
Mary Sesto, Maryssesto.
Ms. Sesto, how are you employed?
I work at the University of Wisconsin in the Department of Medicine.
And did you know two individuals by the name of Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes.
How did you know them?
Oh, we've been friends since Mitchell was a baby, so 25 years.
During that 25 years, did you ever know Bart and Krista to go gambling?
No.
Tell me about their alcohol usage.
When we were with them, we would have wine with dinner, beer, but they weren't heavy drinkers.
Did you ever know them to drink tequila or gin?
No.
So you knew Bart fairly well. Was Bart one to have large amounts of cash lying about?
No.
You kind of smiled. Can you explain that?
So Bart's a CPA. He was our accountant. I'm stereotyping CPAs, but he was very conservative with his money. Undoubtedly, he bought good quality things for around the house, but it wasn't like he went out to eat at expensive restaurants or bought really expensive bottles of wine. He was conservative with his money.
All right. He's mindful. And you're married, correct?
Yes.
And was your husband also friends with the Haldersons?
Yes.
And in fact, did you guys do things together as families or couples?
Yes, we did.
What sort of things did you guys do?
Oh, watched, Badger Packer football games. We would go to the terrace. We've gone to their cabin. My husband would help Bart close his cabin pretty much every year, except for during COVID. I guess just general, during COVID, we would hang out at bonfires, so.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the cabin. How many times do you think you'd been to the cabin?
I think I've been there 2, possibly 3 times. I don't.
And did you, and was it usually with your husband as well?
Yes, yep, the 4 of us.
Did you both ride in the same car with Krista or something, and Bart or something else?
No, we would take our own vehicles.
Can you explain that a little?
Sure. When we went up to the cabin with them for the weekend, backing up, Bart didn't leave a lot of equipment at the cabin. So what he had at the house, so if we were going to be using a chainsaw or cleaning up stuff, he would have to take stuff with him in the car, plus food. Really not a lot was left at the cabin, all their clothes. So there's no way the 4 of us would have fit in their Subaru or my car, or my husband's car, with all our stuff. So we always took separate cars when we went up there as couples.
Was Bart pretty tight in his packing?
He packed well. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Did Krista have any habits of communicating to you or to anybody else, to your knowledge, when they were going to the cabin?
Yeah, so I know they had gone to the cabin earlier in June, and we knew about that. I had texted her to have fun at the cabin, or I hope they had a nice time. But typically we would know when they were going to be gone. Not always, but typically, yes.
Okay. Were they more planned sort of individuals, or were they more kind of fly by the seat of your pants sort of individuals?
All planning.
Okay. Would you have considered them cautious in the sense of making sure somebody would know where they were going if they were planning to be up at the cabin out in the middle of the woods?
Yes.
Did you know Bart and Krista a little bit as parents?
Yeah, yes.
If Krista was going to be going away and leaving Chandler, for a period of time. Do you know if she did anything in preparation for that?
Objection. Speculation foundation.
Perhaps lay more foundation,
Okay.
I'll sustain, but you can explore.
Were you aware of some of Krista's practices as a parent?
Yes.
Did she do anything specific if she was going to be away regarding food for Chandler?
She would prepare food, to my knowledge, for Chandler, for the boys, if they were going to be gone.
Do you have any specific knowledge as to their practice concerning the dogs in the cabin?
So the cabin's very dog friendly, so they, to my knowledge, they typically took the dogs with them. When we went with them, they would bring their dogs as well. At the last time we were there, it was just one dog, but they would bring the dog with them, so.
Okay, so the jury got to see a video, kind of a long video yesterday of the cabin, and it looks like there's a lot of property. Okay, so places a dog could run and
swim, and yes.
Okay. How often do you know anything about Krista's habits about keeping in touch with her children?
Yes.
What do you know?
So when we have been out with them, Krista typically texted. I don't know if it was Mitchell once he had moved out and away from college, but I know when Chandler was living with them that she would text them. She was always in contact with her boys. We would arrive at the cabin, and even though we drove in certain cars, she would be texting them when she got there. Krista was a very doting parent. I just don't know of a time when she was with us that she was ever out of contact with the boys.
And being up in the cabin, did you generally have cell reception?
Yes.
Is that, okay, yes. Did you, okay. How did you learn that Bart and Krista were missing?
So a police officer called me on Wednesday in the afternoon to say that Chaz had reported them missing. And if I recall, there were several conversations that day, but if I recall correctly, asking about if I knew about the cabin. I remember saying that my husband knew how to get there, so if they needed him to give him the directions, but it was through the police officer. And then go ahead.
No, you're fine. What, if anything, did you do once you learned that they were missing?
Yeah, I texted Chaz and I emailed Mitchell.
Okay.
To offer support, see what I could do. Offered to bring Chaz food because, again, knowing Krista, that she would have left him a set amount of food. At least that's been my experience. We offered to bring him food down to the house.
Okay. And did he take you up on that offer?
He elected to come up to our house.
Okay. And where do you live in connection to the 4595 Oak Springs Circle address?
So just up the hill from them.
Okay.
So
you guys are neighbors?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you remember, was it July 7th that Chandler came over for dinner?
Is that Wednesday, July 7th?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me about that night. Do you remember about what time Chandler arrived?
It was probably somewhere around 7:45 to 8 p.m., if I remember correctly.
Okay. And how did the evening begin?
Just, we expressed how sorry we were, how worried we were, what could we do to help. We did talk about police going to the cabin. Do you want me to state what Chandler said at this point, or how? Sorry.
No, you're fine. Was your husband, you said we, was the we your husband?
My husband was there.
Okay.
For most of it.
Was he there for the entire evening?
No, he ran to grab pizza.
Okay.
But it was.
And was that pretty early on?
Probably 20 to 30 minutes, I'm guessing, after Chandler got there, because we waited to order the pizza until he was at our house.
What did you and Chandler do while your husband was out getting the pizza?
We talked. By that point, there were things that were said that just didn't align with the couple that I knew. So I went out into the kitchen to just put some distance because I was just a bit uncomfortable.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit. You said that you started to feel uncomfortable and some things were said that didn't line up. What was said?
So Chandler was actually trying to be very assuring that that they had taken a large roll of cash. They wanted to blow off some steam. They were going to go gamble. That they had taken a tote of booze with gin and tequila in it, which were not, as I mentioned, alcohol, as I was aware of them drinking. And that they drove with another couple. So those things just...
One and one were not equaling
No,
two.
it wasn't the people I knew.
Okay. So you said you went to the kitchen. Why did you go to the kitchen?
Because he was just the things he was saying. He was just very, what I perceived as, just emotionally flat. I don't know. I was uncomfortable. So when my husband left, I stepped into the kitchen.
So some people are kind of emotionally flat, and that's just kind of how they present. Was that Chandler most of the time?
Not to that extent. So like that evening when he was at our house and he talked about the dogs and how he was frustrated that he expressed concern that the dogs had been locked out in the garage during the whole time that the detectives or police were there, and he got emotional that they didn't deserve that. They shouldn't be out there. So it was more so than when he spoke about his parents that I more emotionally flat. And
so he got more emotional over the dogs than his mom and dad being missing.
Yes, yes, when he talked about the dogs, there was more emotion.
Why do you move into the kitchen?
I just felt uncomfortable. I wanted me to be between the door and him. And again, he did not do anything that was physically concerning. I just was uncomfortable because what he was saying, it was not making sense to me.
Okay, so you put yourself between him and the door.
Correct.
And when you say door, I am
front door.
Assume the front door, the door to go outside.
Yep.
Okay. What sort of things do you and Chandler discuss once you're in the kitchen?
I don't recall that we had a lot of discussions specific when we were in the kitchen. We kept it light. It was, I really don't recall anything that occurred there. When my husband came back, and again, I don't remember if it was before he left or when he came back, we talked about, he said that Krista had texted him on Sunday. And again, I'm sorry, I just don't remember did that occur before my husband left for pizza
that's okay.
Or when he came back. But I couldn't believe that if they had left on Friday. I've never, ever known her in 25 years, once the boys were old enough, that she was out of contact from them for that length of time.
Did you and Chandler have any discussions about phones?
Oh, yes. So I was trying to be reassuring that, don't worry, because in my brain at that point, I'm thinking they're in a car wreck on the side of the road. Something like that happened. And so I said that, don't worry, they can track their phones. They can look at where the location of the phone is, and hopefully that will find them. And his comment was, no, they can't do that.
Okay. And how did he say that?
Just very flat. They can't do that.
Okay. Did you talk at all about Chandler's medical concerns at that time?
Yes, so he had mentioned that because of his concussion, it wasn't clear if he had the CAT scan or was scheduled for the CAT scan, but that there was going to be a large deductible with that. And then I made the comment, and I don't know if this will make sense, but I made the comment, well, you'll be getting that large paycheck from American Family. So not exactly what you wanted to go to, but at least you have those resources. And so we had been told that Chandler had roughly a 6-month position with American Family that progressed from an internship to a paid position, but that he hadn't been getting paid and that he was going to be getting this large check. And then he made the comment that something along the lines, that didn't work out or that's not going to happen. And I was really uncomfortable with things that were being said prior to that. But that was, I remember like thinking, I just need him to leave now because nothing, I don't believe anything he said. So.
At any point that evening, were you able to observe Chandler's feet?
Oh, yes.
Specifically his big toe.
His big toe. He had asked, and this is towards the end of the evening when he was there, that he had there was a cut on his toe from some broken glass from the fireplace. He said that the dogs, they were playing ball downstairs and the dog ran in and broke the fireplace glass. And so he wanted me to look at his toe. So he took off his shoe and sock and sort of bent over and was showing me the bottom of his foot, the bottom of his toe. So, I mean, there was a small cut there.
How big would you say that cut was?
I don't know, small was more than just a puncture, but probably like less than 1/8 of an inch, little round area. It wasn't, yes.
All right. And you had talked to him about the CAT scan, and you said you work at the medical school. What's your job?
So I'm a researcher. So I'm also, my background, I'm a physical therapist, but I haven't practiced clinically for a couple decades, so.
How was Chandler's movement
Fine.
during the evening at your house?
Fine. I noticed no.
Objection.
Oh.
Can we approach?
Okay.
Ms. Sesto, I'm going to rephrase the question slightly. Could you describe how Chandler moved the evening he was at your house on July 7th of 2021?
So I did not, so as an example, when he asked me to look at his foot, he was seated in a chair. He bent fully forward, pulled his foot up, turned his head so we could both look at the bottom of his foot. I didn't see any restrictions in his motion during that, which it's full spine motion for him to do. I do not recall any restrictions in his movement or at any other time in the evening.
Okay. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Sesto.
Good morning.
So I'm going to sit here just for the mic situation. Can you hear me just fine?
Oh, I'm fine, yes.
Perfect, thank you. A couple questions for you. How long would you say that you've known Brett and Krista Halderson?
I think 25 years. I believe it was when Mitch, I think it was after Mitch was born that we met him through another neighbor.
Okay. And in that time, I'm going to assume that you had a lot of one-on-one time with Krista.
Yes, I mean, yes, Krista and Bart. I mean, we did a lot with them as a couple.
So as a couple, you hung out a lot?
Yes.
You went to dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And how often would you say that you had one-on-one time with Chandler?
Just one-on-one? Let me think about that. I know, like, when we would stop over at their home, Krista would want, during COVID, Chandler to come out, say hi, catch us up on what was new in his life. But I think they were typically always, Bart and Krista were always there. Sorry, I'm just going back before COVID. Yeah, I think as we hung out, like we were together over Thanksgiving. I would chat with Chaz then, but there were other people in the room. So yeah, I can't think of a time where it was just me and him in a room.
So this was probably the first time that you did have that kind of interaction with Chandler?
Yes.
And would you say the same thing about interactions with Mitchell?
So, yes, I mean.
So you never really had one-on-one interaction?
Oh, that's what, I'm sorry, yes, that's correct.
No, that was my fault. And as far as the small cut on the toe, did you notice anything unusual about it? The way that you described it was just a small cut.
I mean, yeah, look, yes, I mean, it wasn't, I was looking for, Chaz was concerned about signs of infection, anything like that. So I was looking for redness, oozing. It was, I said if it continued to be problematic, you could go and get it checked out. But I didn't notice anything other than he had a bigger than a puncture wound on the bottom of his toe.
Okay. And I'm going to assume you didn't notice any other types of cuts or anything that would have been concerning to you?
No, I didn't. I just looked at the bottom of his foot.
Okay. You also testified about Chandler working at American Family Insurance.
Yes.
That information was provided to you by Krista, correct?
No, I think the first time I heard of the company was when Bart, Krista, Chaz, and my husband and I were standing outside, and they had talked about he had done an internship and had gotten a paid position, but they were trying to get the payment set up. And someone asked who was the company, and so that's when it was said American Family. So I think that's the first time I heard it. It was all of us together, and I don't remember who actually said it was American Family.
Okay. And was that the first time that you heard of this job?
Yes. I had heard that he had been doing some internships, but that it had been sort of progressed to a paid position.
And then the last time, if you will, that you heard about this job was when you and Chandler were in your home in the kitchen?
The next time I heard about it, yes.
All right. No further questions for you. Thank you.
Can you redirect?
Yes. You said that there were times that Krista would have Chandler come outside and catch you up during COVID. Mm-hmm. What sort of things did Chandler catch you up on?
Just it was mainly that night when they talked about the job. I know there was a time when he had moved back in that we chatted. It wasn't a lot of, I guess, catching up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
May this witness be released and excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good remainder of your day. And the next witness, please.
State of Wisconsin calls Kevin Linsmeier to the stand.
If you are willing and believe you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without a mask would be the preference. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Good morning. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last names?
Yes, my name is Kevin Linsmeier. First name is spelled Kevin. Last name is spelled Linsmeier.
And Mr. Linsmeier, how have you been employed in the past?
I was employed by the Madison Police Department.
As what?
Police officer and a detective.
And how long were you a police officer and detective?
For 31 years.
And Do you remember roughly when you retired?
On May 3rd, 2021.
And where do you live?
I live at 105 Oak Springs Circle in DeForest, Wisconsin.
And where is 105 Oak Springs Circle in relation to the Halderson home?
It's across the street from my house, kitty corner a little bit. So, I mean, the lots do not line up perfect, but they're staggered just a little bit, but we are across the street from the Halderson residence.
And did you know Krista and Bart Halderson?
I did.
How did you know them?
So let's talk about Bart first. I've known Bart since childhood. He's from my hometown. He went to the same high school as I. We grew up 5 minutes apart or so. And then I met Bart again about 5 years ago when he moved across the street from me. And then Krista, I met through Bart. Krista was Bart's wife, and that's when I met her.
Okay. And would you just characterize your relationship with them as neighbors, or were you kind of friendly, or something else?
We're neighbors. We went out to eat with them once, 3 years ago probably or so. I mean, we visited outside as neighbors would do. So I would say we're very neighborly.
Okay. And in the first week of July of 2021, what, if any, observations did you make about the Halderson home or lawn?
So the first week of July, I recall talking to my wife about that the Halderson lawn wasn't kept up, which was very unusual. They did a really nice job maintaining their lawn, very good gardeners, and it was obvious that the lawn wasn't being cared for. So that was the first observation that we made.
Gardening was kind of a hobby for Bart, or at least you thought it was?
They were out regularly working on their lawn, planting, maintaining their plants. That was one of their hobbies. You could clearly tell they enjoyed being outside and working on their lawn.
And I heard that's a little bit competitive on your street, that everybody takes a lot of pride in their landscaping and lawn.
Yes.
As of July 7th or so of 2021, had you ever met anybody named Chandler Halderson?
I did.
Okay. And when did you meet him?
Shortly after Bart and Krista moved into the house. I know for sure I met Chandler and his brother and Bart and Krista then. I remember that distinctly, and I'm pretty sure there was at least one more time in subsequent years that I have met Chandler.
Generally speaking, though, did you socialize with Chandler?
No.
Okay. Did Chandler come to your home on July 8th of 2021?
Yes.
Do you have any security cameras of any sort at your house?
I have a Ring video on the front door of my entrance of house.
So, do you remember what time did Chandler come to your home on the 8th?
It was approximately 8:30 a.m.
Okay. And what happened?
So the doorbell rang. I answered the door. I said to Chandler through the door, "I'll meet you in the garage."
Why'd you do that?
At the time, I had a very young puppy that needed to be crated. And I, didn't want to try to control the puppy and talk to Chandler at the same time. So that was the reason on why I wanted to talk with him in the garage.
Did you do anything as you prepared to go into the garage to meet Chandler?
Yes, after I created the puppy, I decided that I was going to record the contact I was going to have with Chandler. So I had my phone, I activated the recorder.
Why'd you do that?
Well, being a police officer, for many years I felt, or I suspected something wasn't right based on my observations from the day before, where I saw 3 squad cars outside the Halderson house for an extended period of time. That's not something we normally see in the neighborhood, let alone for a missing person type case. Usually the officers aren't at the scene for an extended period of time. So I suspected something wasn't right. I just didn't know what.
Okay. So you recorded the interaction?
I did.
And that, just to be clear, that's just an audio only recording?
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Linsmeier, I am going to show you what has been marked as exhibits 45 and 46. What is exhibit 45?
So exhibit 45 consists of a flash drive.
And during the course of this investigation, did you provide law enforcement with your Ring video footage of Chandler?
I did.
Okay. And you provided a true and accurate copy?
I did.
At this point, I would move exhibit 45 into evidence.
Any objection?
Your Honor, may we approach, please?
Sure. And so the exhibit 45 is received.
And exhibit 46. Could you examine exhibit 46?
Exhibit 46 is also a flash drive. It's green in color.
And during the course of this investigation, did you provide law enforcement a true and accurate copy of the audio you recorded in the garage between you and Chandler Halderson?
Yes.
I would move exhibit 46 into evidence at this time.
Any objection other than any noted previously?
None.
It is received.
I'm also going to provide 47 and 48 for the court record benefit.
Thank you.
So the Ring doorbell interaction occurred first?
Yes.
Okay. So we are going to publish exhibit 45 at this time. Yes.
I'll meet you in the garage, okay?
Okay.
And so that's the Ring doorbell footage.
That is correct.
Okay. And the date on that Ring doorbell footage was July 8th, and it appeared to be, the time appeared to be 8:37 a.m. Is that all correct?
That should be accurate, yes.
And this audio footage that we're about to hear in Exhibit 46, I assume that occurred pretty much seconds after that Ring doorbell?
Yes. I don't know if we've ever met. Well, actually, we did meet. I think we met once or twice when you first moved over there. I think we met. Sorry about what's going on.
What it is, but I was wondering if your door camera.
You do have a ring, yeah.
Does it pick up the road?
Yes, some it does.
Would you have any notifications from Friday morning, early, before 6:15?
We can check. That's not a problem. Is that before 6:15?
Yeah, before 6:15, kind of since Thursday midnight.
Okay.
Any notifications?
Okay. My wife is the one that knows how to run that, so I'll have her pull it up on the computer. So Thursday night to Friday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. You doing okay over there? Anything I can do to help you out? You need help watching the dogs or anything?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to leave my dogs with people.
I'm sorry, what was that?
My youngest dog was at a bad home before, so she's got to be under with me, my parents, or like there's my great aunt and uncle. The only people that she's okay being near.
Okay, well, if there's anything I can do to make life easier, I mean, I'm retired now, so I'm around, my wife's around a lot, she still works, but especially if it's like watching the dogs or anything, if there's anything I can do to make your life easier, I'll give you my phone number. Yeah. You can call me.
Great.
Okay, ready? My name's Kevin. 1203. And actually, let me get your number too if I need to call you.
Let me give you your text.
That's my cell phone, yeah, so you can text it too. Oh, you can just text it to me.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if there's anything, I mean, especially for my wife and I, as you probably saw, we have a puppy. We just got a puppy. We've always had dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a 13-week-old.
Seeing it.
A little work of art. But if there's anything I can do, I'm from, you know, your dad is from the Valders area. Mm-hmm. I grew up in that area.
Oh, okay.
He's 3 years younger than me, but we went to the same high school.
So you were with my Uncle Brett?
Brett is 1 or 2 years older than me.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't think I've ever talked to him. I know he used to be cross country, was he?
Yeah.
Was he a big runner back in, I think in high school he was a runner, I think. And I don't know if I've ever talked to him. I know what he looks like, but he is 1 or 2 years older than me. But how's, you know, your how's your dad's family or Krista's family doing?
I haven't heard anything from my mom's family. They're kind of spread across the map. So
Do they know what's going on though?
No, I haven't talked to them before.
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to contact them. Either.
Okay.
My brother might know how to contact her brother. So I think he's met
Brett
her.
know?
Yeah,
Brett knows
yeah. I'm
her.
hoping Brett can come because he'll be able to look through more things than the police are.
Yeah. Well, when Brett comes up here, if he comes up here, have him come over here. I mean, if there's anything I can do to help out with anything. I mean, I was a detective for 23 years with Madison Police Department, so I worked, you know, that's kind of stuff. I know Brett was a manager, he was a boss, but he should have a lot of experience. But, you know, and if you have Brett's phone number, I could easily call him up. If you want to give me Brett's phone number, I'll give him a phone call and just, you know, tell him. And actually, I think you text that to me also.
Yeah, I think it was contact.
Yeah, send that to me. I've always wanted to meet him because I know he was a police officer for many years, and I don't even know if he knows who I am. But when I met, you know, your dad and Krista, he told me that Brett was a cop. I'm like, I knew that. I just didn't. He was in the military or something too. I remember.
Yeah, he was in the Army.
Yeah, I remember that also. But I'll have Lisa check the ring. I know the cops are. One of them came over and talked over here a little bit yesterday and asked if we saw anything, and it's like, no, not much. So.
It's too early. I haven't seen anyone up around that time, anyways.
Do you? I read in the news release where the cabin is. What's
Sawyer Lake?
Sawyer Lake. Is that a cabin? Cabin. And they checked the cabin already up there?
I haven't heard what
I would hope they have the cops up there knocking on the door, checking in.
One of the 3 cops for the entire,
No, that's a lot. I don't even know where Sawyer County is, actually.
It's not Sawyer County, it's just Sawyer Lake.
Sawyer Lake, okay, I've heard. Okay.
County.
Langlade, is that what it is?
Oh, yeah,
That's what I heard. I heard of Langlade, never went to get past Green Bay, I don't know much, so. But I'll have Lisa check, I'll text you once she checks the ring, so Thursday night into Friday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And you keep me in mind if there's anything, I'm telling you, if there's anything we can do to make your life easier, you need to reach out to us, okay?
I appreciate it.
Okay, what's your name again?
Chandler.
Chandler, okay. And do you have one brother?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when your parents moved in there, I remember meeting 2 boys. Okay, what's your brother's name?
Mitchell.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if I've met either of you since.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I can't even remember moving all the boxes in here. Yeah, actually.
How long have you been over there for?
5 years since I graduated high school, and we moved just the summer after.
So what's weird is and I didn't know this until after you moved over here, but you used to live up off of West Mohawk Trail.
Yeah.
We did too, and I had no idea. I mean, and then we lived at 933 West Mohawk Trail, and then we moved to Mohican Pass up on top of the hill.
Oh, that's where my best friend used to live.
What was his name?
Nate.
Hoffman?
Hoffman.
Yeah,
Nate Hoffman.
right across the street from the Hoffmans.
Oh, cool.
Where did they move to? Okay.
I lost touch when I moved to Plymouth.
So, and that's what your parents told me, that you moved away from that area and then moved to Plymouth, and then moved back here then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we live, I don't know where your house was off of Mohawk, but we lived close, and I had no idea. You know that, I remember your dad as a Cub Scout. I don't think I ever talked to him because he was younger than me, but I remember your dad and your uncle as Cub Scouts, yeah. And that's all I remember. I don't remember much else. I know I never talked to your dad in high school. He was 3 years younger, but and your brother was older, so I don't think I ever talked to him. But it's just how weird, what a small world. And then your mom went to school with my wife at La Follette. It's like, what a small world that is. So.
It's crazy.
So, okay. Call me though if you need anything, okay? Okay.
If you could think of anything, give me a ring, or if you find just from my law enforcement background, the best thing you can be doing is being in constant contact with the detective that's assigned to the case. If I was you, I would be lighting this phone up. What's going on? Where are things at?
you know, just being in constant contact. They're gonna, if they're doing their job the way I would be doing it, they already reached out wherever the Sawyer Lake is. They would have had the cops check, you know, check in the area. Did you give them the address where the cabin was? Okay. I can assure you that they're doing what they can on their end, but I would be calling that cop up, you know, 2-3 times a day, saying, hey, what's going on, or encouraging the cop to call you 2-3 times a day until, you know, this is figured out. And I didn't know your parents real well. I mean, I talked to him. I knew your dad a little bit. I would say hi to him and we'd wave, but it's not like we were real close because we just weren't, you know. So, but that's about all you can really do. And I'm not a big social media person at all. Don't know much about it. But were your parents big in social media?
Oh,
okay.
It's not helping finding him.
Okay.
So.
When was your and your parents' workplaces have been contacted already?
Yep.
Okay.
I tried to contact my dad's, but his place is so locked down, it's hard to even talk to a real person.
No, and as long and the officers know where your parents work?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're doing their, trust me, they're doing what their jobs are, so that should all be covered. And then I would, you know, just stay in contact with the cops. They're gonna probably ask for more information. If they have questions from you, answer the questions. Be in whatever you can do of assistance. Is your other brother, is it your older brother? Mm-hmm. Has he been, the officers talked to him?
Yeah, they went to his house.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. Does Krista have any relatives around here? No.
Just my dad. And I've contacted his side, aunt and uncle, his brother, his nieces.
Okay, good.
Can't. My grandparents, I'm pretty sure they're in the loop now too, but they haven't heard anything.
Sure.
So.
Okay. You know, just work with the detective as much as possible. Do you know who the detective is that's assigned?
It's on a card in my dining room.
Once you call him, ask him, are you the detective assigned, or do you mind if I continue calling you for updates? Because what's going to happen is I saw, yesterday I saw 3 squads here.
Yeah.
Okay, so not all 3 people are going to be assigned the case. One person gets assigned the case because the other 2, most of the time, they're patrol officers or detectives. They have other cases they have to work on, but one person will be assigned the case. Find out who that one person is, and that's who you're going to call. That's who you're going to communicate with. You don't want to communicate with 3 different people because you're going to get the runaround because you know how those 3 people don't communicate with each other because they're all doing their own thing. You need that one person that's the head of the case. So that's who you want to stay in contact with. But there's all you can do is wait, pray, hope for the hope for the best. Has this ever happened before? Anything like
Not
this?
like this long of not hearing from them. That's why I went to the police. So.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did.
So, yeah.
I'm really glad you did. Did the police ask you, do they have passports? Did they ever travel
I
out
don't
of the
know if
country?
they have passports with them. I can't get in our safe. I don't have the codes for safes.
Okay.
And that's where we keep them is
Okay.
safe.
Oh, that's the stuff that they're going to check. And the cops have a way of checking to see if they got on airplanes. There's a way of them doing that. So there's things they can be doing on their end that I'm sure they are because that's what that's what they do. So okay. Keep me in mind though, if there's anything I can be doing to help out, especially with the dogs, just keep me in mind with that. We have no plans with this puppy. We have no plans till later this year, so we're not going anywhere with the puppy yet. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank
I'll
you.
drop you a text once my wife looks at the ring, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Mr. Linsmeier, is the person that you talked to in your garage, Chandler Halderson, in the courtroom today?
I'm sorry.
At this point,
Could you repeat that?
the question asked if you would be able to recognize the person you talked to. Before following up with that, I would ask everyone not in the jury box to lower their masks for a brief count of 3 so that the witness can observe everyone's faces. Thank you. Please replace your masks. Go right ahead, Attorney Raymond.
Do you see the person that you talked to that by the name of Chandler Halderson in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you identify him by where he's seated and maybe describe the color of his shirt?
Yeah, he's seated in front of me to my right slightly, wearing a blue shirt, dark tie, and a dark blazer jacket.
And I know that audio was kind of long, but at the beginning, the defendant asked 2 questions. If you had cameras and what they pointed to. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And did you notice any disability or limitations on the defendant's movements that morning?
I did not.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released from a subpoena.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations on your retirement. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day. Does the state have another witness that would take us up to the noon hour, or?
I think this would be a good break, otherwise we'll go far beyond it. So
Okay.
it would be a good lunch break.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the weather's a little bit more questionable. It may be a little bit slower for lunch today, and plus you'll probably be hitting places pretty close to the noon hour. So we'll resume at 1:15. I want to give you a little extra time because of the weather. That gives you plenty of time if you're leaving the building to go up there safely. Don't slip. Be cautious, leave your notebooks, and again, don't discuss the case with anyone or unintentionally observe or hear any information about the case. No research, no discussions amongst yourselves. Have a good, safe lunch, and we'll see you at 1:15. Thank you.
All right, for the jury.